everybody, Coach Jessica here. Welcome to part 7 of the Emotional Eating series. Today we're going to be talking about facing your feelings. It is the hardest thing to do, but also it could be the easiest thing to do once we get the hang of being open about how we feel to ourselves. So you don't have to go and tell everybody about your feelings, but unless it's to a point where it's so severe that you need that help. I want to tell you that if you've been dealing with emotional eating for a long time, or whether it be for a short period of time, the only part that's going to fix this is facing what's stressing you out and dealing with your emotions. Because if we don't learn how to deal with that, we're going to constantly go running to the cabinet to numb our feelings. Now, I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable with you and tell you a little bit about my journey and my story, because some of you have not heard about what I've dealt with in life, and I think it's important to know why I talk about body image and loving yourself and having those issues. People don't understand why I talk about body image being a part of the emotional eating. So I want to get into that. Now, when I grew up, I didn't grow up in a typical marriage or a happy marriage where my parents were constantly going on dates, getting each other little gifts. Even on birthdays, it was never a big celebration in my household when it came to my parents. Yes, my mom made sure that me and my brother had birthday parties and we were taken care of, and she came to every single event, but my dad was not very present because he was always at work and we weren't a priority to his job. You know, his job came first. We were secondary. Growing up in that, and then my dad left and cheated on my mom. Having that happen in my life, I didn't know how to be loved by a guy. I didn't know what to look for in a man, because I didn't have that perfect model of a father to go after, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. But also growing up, because I'm Alaska Native, I grew up in Alaska, you would think because there's an abundance of Native people up there that you wouldn't get made fun of for being Native. But especially when I was a teenager, once guys would find out that I was part Native, they would either make fun of me and not want to hang out with me, or it was just ridiculous. And it took a long time for me to love that part of me. I denied being Native because I didn't want to be the laughingstock. But now I love the fact that I'm Native, because not that many people where I live now are Native. I live in Colorado. Yes, there are Native Americans that live here, but Eskimo, not so much. So when you live in a place where people are amazed to hear that you're Eskimo is just cool, because something that was a laughing stock in my hometown was something that was widely accepted here. And they ask so many cool questions, and I'm more than happy to answer those. So there is that, being made fun of. Going through high school, I was never asked out on dates. I don't know if I was intimidating or what, but I just, tried to be everybody's friend. And I had a strong group of lady friends in Anchorage that I went from elementary school into junior high, into high school with. Some I met in junior high. But a lot of things changed when I got into a really toxic relationship. And because I didn't have that role model in my life to know how to be loved and how to be cherished the right way, the first guy that gave me the most attention, first he acted like he was very sweet, but then once we got into an argument, hands were put on me. It became a physically abusive relationship. It's happened more than once. And he was also mentally abusive, would tell me that, the pudge on my stomach I need to get rid of, even though it was probably like just a pinch. Like now that I've become a mom, it's gotten bigger. But I have to say that I'm glad I got out of the relationship, but it was the loneliest time of my life when I was with that guy. All of my friends were gone. I felt completely alone, and because I had no one to relate to. I felt like people thought I was trying to play a victim, but I just didn't have a way out, and I didn't know how to get out until we were living together, and then he moved out, and then that was my cue, because we didn't trust each other. So when he moved out, That was my cue to say, I can do this. He's not here. I could say it over the phone. He's not going to beat me up for breaking up with him. So once he left, I was able to do that and get out of the situation. I know most people in abusive relationships have a harder time because they are stuck in a house or they feel obligated to stay with that person. But I have to say, if you're the one that has to leave, then do it. It's not worth it. You can't change. I've tried. You cannot change someone who is like that. It's just a part of their genetics. It is a part of who they are. And especially when they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing, they might apologize for it, but in the end, they will never own up to what they've done to you. So get out if you can. But that's another topic. But now I'm in a whole nother relationship. I've been in this relationship for a long time. Me and my husband have been married for almost 12 years. And he loves me for who I am. I can be my quirky self without being looked at like I'm a crazy person because we're exactly the same. And he says I'm beautiful. He tells me that I look amazing. And all of that is great too. But at the same time, finding that self-love for me, once I could do that, hearing it from him, I knew he meant it. And I didn't take it with a grain of salt. And I was like, if he can see me like that, why can't I see myself like that? And then I said, you know what? I am in control of how my body looks. I'm in control of everything else. So I need to just start handling and taking care of myself. Hence is why the fitness journey and all of that fun stuff. And with my kids, they need to see that. I think it's important. They're sponges. They need to see that we are always a work in progress and that we don't give up on ourselves. Now, with the emotional eating, that has been going on in my life for a long time, and I just recently really started to become more aware of it. Even though I've been doing it for so long, I think I was just like, oh, it's food in the house. I thought it was just mindless snacking. But I noticed that when I would get stressed out, I would go more to the cabinet and eat more than I would than just a normal snack. So once I became more aware of that, I knew I needed to work on it, just like I did my fitness. And that's how we're all going to have to deal with, is being more aware of what's going on. And now with facing your feelings, I'm going to give you some steps on how to be more mindful and also how to get through those times when you're feeling like you need to eat or that you want to eat. All right, so when you're headed towards the kitchen, the first thing that you should do is take a detour and ask yourself, what's going on? What emotion am I feeling right now? Then find a different way to deal with it, whether that be reading, going for a walk, something like that to distract yourself. Rate your emotion on a scale from 1 to 10. How severe is it? If it's below a 5, you can most likely deal with it on your own. But if it's above a 5 and you're just extremely on edge, that's the time you need to phone a friend or a family member to talk through what you're dealing with. And then another thing is to write freely about your emotions. What are you feeling with? Start a journal. And if you have a food journal, start journaling what you're eating. This will help you be more aware of if you're hungry or not. But at the same time, write down what you're feeling. And no one's going to see it, so just go all out. So if you're mad at somebody, if something's going on in your life and you need that help, just write about it and be done with it. Don't hold back on what you need to write about. So here are some steps that you can take. Step number 1. If you have the urge to eat, pay attention to your feelings. 2, before you reach for food, ask yourself, have I ate a meal recently or a snack? Am I really hungry? Number 3, try for 10 minutes to deal with your urge with something other than food. If you still have a craving after that 10 minutes, give it another 10 minutes. If you are still severely hungry after that, then of course, find something healthy to eat in that moment if you haven't had a meal yet. Now, if it's dinner time, you need to have dinner. But if you haven't had a meal, you need to, or if you're in between meals, have a little healthy snack. Something that will make you feel good and not guilty. If you've been dealing with emotional eating for a long time, I have to let you know that this isn't going to be a quick fix or something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of practice to get these steps down. It will take some time to get used to the new habits. and get rid of the old ones. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be so worth it. I really hope today helped you, and thank you so much for listening to my story and taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, and God bless. Bye.